Black men, a lot of you guys don't have your degree because you have weaponized incompetence to the point where it is your default setting.
Hey beautiful people, how you all doing today? It's your girl Destiny here and welcome to my channel. How have you all been? Hope you guys are doing great. So this video is the part 2 video of the video I posted previously of where we're having the conversation of the rate of black men that don't go to college keeps declining every single year. So if you don't know what I'm talking about, go check out the first video. So there's this conversation going on online about how black men don't go to college compared to black women and other race men and how it keeps declining every year. So I already did a part 1 of it where black men responded to this on why they think this is a thing and why black men don't go to college as much as other demographic and other races of men and people. So in this part, we're going to hear women's response, which for me, I'm really interested to know what the women think about this conversation. Okay, so we're going to check the women's response to this. But if you haven't seen the first part, go check it out because it was very insightful. So go check out why black men think that black men don't go to college and why this is. So let's go check out women's response to this and then we'll come back and talk more.
I literally cannot sleep. The current conversation about black men's college enrollment is coming from this article right here. Do I have thoughts? Of course. Will I share them? Of course. But for right now, the only thought I have is this. If you are a black man under the sound of my voice, go to college. You can and you should. Yes, you can. They're wrong. Anybody who telling you that you can't go to college is wrong. Anyone who telling you you shouldn't go to college is your op, and not just your op, your biggest op. At some point, you got to ask yourself, who benefits from me not pursuing more education? Because it ain't you. You don't need to go to college to be successful. That statement is true, and that statement is a cop-out sometimes. Does college give you success? No, nothing does, and that's the problem. A lot of folks want success given to them, and the amount of work that you have to do to be successful without the degree, you might as well have did the 2 or 4 years and got the piece of paper. Wow. I don't know a single black man who went to college and came out of it like, damn, my life is worse because I pursued my education. Let me tell you something. I went to college 3 times, and I ain't seen nothing there that you can't do. I worked as a college advisor. I've advised young black male students. Taught college for a little while. I've taught young black male students. I want to work for myself. I can't tell you how great that is. I mean, so college don't matter. Whoa, 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 whoa. As far as being good at your craft, maybe college doesn't matter. But as far as how much you can charge for your craft, college absolutely matters. A lot of folks saying you don't need college, they didn't go, so how would they know? And if you want me to really put you on game, it's a lot of folks telling you not to go to college because they did go. And they don't want no competition, so they're trying to kick the ladder down. All these politicians on TV, on social media going, college is for the liberal elite. Yeah, they went to Yale, now they're telling you that. All the social media gurus saying, student loan debt and college isn't worth it. They're filming that bullshit on this camera that is $600. Or they're filming it on one that's $2,300. The reason why they can afford a $5,000 Twitch stream setup is because they went to college. So they have a job that pays them well until their content creation pops off. I don't know what I want to do. People in college don't know what they want to do. College helps you figure that out. I was just on a panel with a young black man. He took one class and said, I want to be the executive director of a nonprofit and fight for reproductive rights. I had a student one time who got too hot in his dorm and decides he wants to do research on how to improve the walls of houses to keep them cooler. Over the course of my academic career, I graded hundreds of essays, and after all this time, there's a handful of them that still stick out. 3 of those are from black male students that I had. So again, this is for black men who are just thinking about it. Go to college. Because you can. Okay. And you should.
Black men are not going to college simply because they don't want to. The gender enrollment gap keeps growing. A picture is worth 1,000 words. They're lazy. They're not going to PWIs. They're not going to HBCUs. They're not in the Ivy Leagues. They're not going to trade school. They're not completing trade school because the completion rate for trade school is only about 30-something%. Completion rate of apprenticeship is only about 40-something%. So not even half of them are completing trade schools and apprenticeships. Entrepreneurship is less than 2% of them are men, black men. The military makes up about 15%. Where are they? We can blame it on everything and everybody, but a lot of them simply just don't see the value in education after high school. They don't value it. They don't prioritize it.
They aren't going to college because they don't want to, and they're allowed to not want to. Girls are pushed to be academically great, while boys are pushed to be subpar academically as long as they can play a sport to gain a scholarship to get to college. And then for those that don't fall into the category of exceptional athlete, they fall into the cracks because they are allowed to be subpar and average.
I don't have any expertise on the subject. I only have thoughts and opinions. So if you're looking for any of that, you've come to the wrong page.
Okay.
It's been a topic that I've wondered for a long time, especially seeing the people in my community, the males in my community who I've interacted with. There is no push for them to be exceptional. There's no push for them to go to college or go do trades. They're allowed to drop out of school. They're allowed to stop going. They're allowed to come to school, act a fool, suffer the consequences, and then still not pass. They're allowed to do that. And I can also recognize that the school to prison pipeline exists. I can also recognize that behavioral health is important, and a lot of them are not receiving the help. They don't have the role models. I can also say when you want something, you're going to go get it by any means necessary. Like the stripper to nurse pipeline has been a joke for as long as I've been alive. The person going to school in the daytime or taking night classes and working in the daytime, like that happens for women all the time. It's a joke. But why aren't men also doing those same things to put themselves in better positions? I've literally never heard of the neighborhood dope dealer saving his coins to go and buy a house and go, book his classes for community college or whatever. It's literally never been a thing I've heard of. And I'm trying to, not be anti-black and put stereotypes on things. I'm just naming things that, have been common in what I see. And plenty of people have brought up the topic of student loans and how people don't want to go into debt for things like that. But, how many people have a too high note because they pay for a Hellcat or a car that's way too expensive and doesn't benefit them in any way other than being nice and keeping up with the Joneses?
I keep seeing TikToks about why black men are not going to college the same rate as black women. And something I want to add to the discussion is that I'm a literal twin. I have a twin brother, meaning that growing up, we had the same resources. We went to the same schools. We obviously grew up in the same household. We had the same parents. And when we had tutors, when I had a tutor, he had a tutor, you name it, right? We had some differences gendered wise. Like, for instance, I did Girl Scouts and my mom and dad were focused on him doing things like golfing and taekwondo and baseball. But outside of that, we're pretty similar. I think it's interesting hearing this online discussion and how hesitant or reluctant black men are to accept that there is a lot of socialization for black men to not succeed academically and a lot of pressure from their peers. Now, mind you, both my parents have advanced degrees, maybe not while growing up, but they currently do have advanced degrees. And while both me and my twin graduated high school and went on to college, only one of us graduated. And for my brother to even get to the point of graduating, it was an arm and a leg. I remember from 4th through 8th grade, he was in summer school. And I remember telling him when we were in high school that if he does not graduate with me, it would be embarrassing to have all our family members come up to see me graduate and not him. And I focused on making sure that we both graduate and cross the stage together. And there was a point where every test that he had, my mom would personally make flashcards for him and help him study and be his personal champion and tutor. I remember at one point we thought, or pretty early on, from 1st or 2nd grade, my parents went to go test him for a learning disability, and he found out he did have a learning disability, only for me to find out in college that I had the exact same learning disability. All that to say is there's a lot of conversation about, well, who's to blame in this conversation. And I'm not going to say there's anyone necessarily, to blame, but I don't think a lot of black men are understanding that regardless of it's your mom or your dad or your friends or your family or your community or whatever, it's socialization. There needs to be an intervention on how men think about education and their mentors and their peers.
We did not go to college because we was too busy trying to figure out how to pay for lunch because our daddies was in prison because y'all kept putting shit in the street to make sure they went to prison so that we could not afford lunch, so that we therefore could not afford college. So if you would please shut the up worried about why we didn't go to college. Thank you.
I don't really want to participate in this conversation much because there's a lot that I don't necessarily agree with. But this right here that he talked about, I can't necessarily stand behind that because there's so many young black girls that went through the same things young black boys went through, but they still excelled in getting their bachelor's, their master's, their doctorates, their PhD, and further certifications. I personally just don't feel like this is an accurate reason at all. Honestly, I feel like it was more of an excuse than anything. No disrespect to that man, but it did kind of sound like an excuse. But also a part of this argument that I really don't agree with is that, trade school isn't good enough. In my personal opinion, I feel like trade school is better than college, if I'm being 1,000% honest with you. Because if you're not going to college to be a doctor, lawyer, engineer, You know what I'm saying? Like, there's plenty of other reasons to go to college, like social work and other things. But going directly to school for a trade, like for the exact thing that you want to do, and then getting out of school and getting right into that job field, I feel like is a much better option. You don't waste a year doing undergraduate studies, which is something that you're not going to school for. You know, you're getting right to the nitty gritty. What am I paying you for? Teach me how to do what I'm paying for, and then so I can graduate in less than a year and get my job and move on. To me, that's just a much better option. And lastly, this last thing is just a personal observation, something that I've seen multiple different times, but I genuinely feel like young black boys or young black men aren't pushed to do more and excel more and reach higher levels of education like young black girls are. Like, I literally seen a young black man face minor inconveniences, like minor inconveniences when it came to getting higher education and going to college and stuff. And literally his mom just told him to go home. Like, she was like, okay, like, you're having a hard time, just come home. Just come home, just forget all about that. Like, just come home, work a job, and you can just stay with me. And that's exactly what he did. And he never went to college. He just worked and lived with his mom. She was a boy mom. So if that helps explain anything.
What I'm about to say does not apply to every black man. So if you're not a part of this group, simply remove yourself. Don't get into my comments trying to go back and forth with me. But black men, a lot of you guys don't have your degree because you have weaponized incompetence to the point where it is your default setting. You have prioritized laziness to the point where you will do absolutely whatever you can do to not do any work. If somebody could go in and earn that degree for you in your name, more black men would be degree holders to this day. Please spare me the whole sob story of, oh, the reason why us black men don't have our degrees at the same rates as our black women is because we had to adopt or take on certain responsibility because there was no male figure in the home and our mother was a single mother and we had to figure out how we was going to have money for lunch. Please, because a lot of us women had the same exact circumstances, okay? Word for word, bar for bar. Some of us women were worse off than you. A lot of us had to be a secondary parent to our younger siblings while still being in charge of ourselves and our education. Like, please spare me that. I'm going to note one more time. If you are not a part of this group, simply remove yourself. No need to take offense to something that does not apply to you, okay? Don't let that go over your head. A lot of black men, unfortunately, since they were young, were weaponizing incompetence. It started from just having to do everyday little tasks, doing chores in the household, okay? With each task that you were able to get out of or being able to postpone or basically shove off to the side to the point where somebody else would step in and do the job for you, it has conditioned you into the man that you are today, where you don't want to do nothing. You don't want to do anything. You don't want to put in your all for nothing. And it's not just with education. It's in all aspects of life. This is why we say with each generation, the men get less and less like men because they don't want to put in the work anymore. Women from a young age, black women from a young age, are told that we need to be successful academically in order to be successful, period. In order to be successful, period, we have to be successful academically. Like, we have no choice. Meanwhile, men are told that they have other avenues, you understand, in which they can be successful, where education is not that much of a priority. And then because it does include hard work, and you guys have been raised being incompetent and weaponizing incompetence, you are not going to push yourself to go and achieve what it takes to achieve a higher degree. It has nothing to do with you having a hard life. There's women who had an even harder life than you. There's women who could probably get up on this app and talk about how they were raped by their uncle and their father, and they had a child and they didn't know which father or the uncle was the baby father of the child, and they were illiterate up until they were 12 years old, but they still went to church, and then they found this one person that believed in them, and the next thing you know, they're a therapist. You have no excuse. You have no excuse. You wanted to be in the trenches. Everything is a decision. You have free will. God gave us all free will. You guys choose to weaponize incompetence, and it came to the point now, it's your default setting. You can't get out of it even if you wanted to. That's what it is. You don't have any excuse other than I just don't have the drive. That's what it is. Keep it a buck.
I hate to throw a wrench in this whole why are black men are going to college less than black women conversation. It seemed real hot in there, it seemed real hot in that kitchen, but I'm going to throw a wrench in that and just let y'all know that white men are also going to college less than white women. White women are also outpacing white men in going to college, enrolling, and completion. And it's been on that trend actually since 1995, okay? And Hispanic women also are outpacing Hispanic men in going to college, enrollment, and completion. Women in general in the United States are outpacing men in every racial demographic in enrollment in college and completion. I know this conversation, a lot of people want to get some shit off their chest, but I do want to bring in some sense. And the sense comes with numbers and statistics. And the statistics are showing that women in general in the United States passing all the men when it comes to college enrollment. And if you understand and break these things down to the science of it, not just how you feel about it, okay, you will start to understand that that is because, right, the social science of it, being a man in the United States of America, that is a system that operates under patriarchy. Being a man is a sense of man privilege, and women don't have that man privilege. Therefore, they have to go to another level of privilege to access the system, and that would be through education. Okay, so that is one of the catalysts, that is one of the reasons that women are outpacing men in college enrollment and completion, because of that patriarchy system and understanding that being a man already gives you access with that privilege. Women don't have that, okay, in every racial demographic. So you guys can go back to the conversation of what y'all having. I know there's a lot of shit that people want to get off their chest within the community. Black people, do what you got to do, but when you get it off your chest, I need us to come back to reality, boo, and observe the whole statistical observation of this. And that is to say that every woman in every racial demographic in the United States is outpacing their counterpart in racial group of men in college enrollment and college completion. Okay, all right, y'all have a nice day. Please go down in the comment section and share your thought. Love to know what you think about the women's response to this conversation down in the comment section. But as always, please keep it respectful. Here on this channel, we're allowed to disagree, but we'll do it in a very respectful way. So go ahead, feel free and share your thought. So for me personally, some of the response these women were giving were really cutthroat, and I kind of agree. I feel like so many things can be right at the same time when it comes to this conversation of a lot of men. But another one like that really strike my head, and I kind of feel like that's also a playing factor, is how men or how boys are being treated in a household, especially in the black community, especially in the black society. Even in Nigeria is a thing too. A lot of girls are being put pressure on them to do their best in everything they do, including house chores, academics, and all that. But when it comes to the boys, they're usually baby, baby, baby. And I feel like this is more out there more than in the black community in the US than in Nigeria. Because in Nigeria, yeah, as much as yes, the mom is going to baby the men to do the bare minimum and weaponize incompetent, they also tell you that there's a stigma to it in the society. Like I said in the first part of the video, if you haven't seen it, go check it out. I was talking about how in my society, there's a stigma for you not going to college, not going to the university. It's a huge stigma, and I feel like that's what has pushed people in my society to go to school even more than usual. That now we have more graduates than even the jobs that are available. Do education help you to strive in life? No, that's but I just feel like what education does, me personally, I have a strong feeling about education. I feel like if you're not doing those professional courses like lawyer, medical doctor, all those things, engineering, you're doing things like what do I want to do, like political science or building and all that. I feel like just go to trade school and learn that. That is my own personal opinion. But in this conversation, it's been said that black men, even on going to learn a trade, it's also declining just as much as it is in what's it called, in the college too, in the university. And I feel like this also boils down to how they are raised. Like you can do the bare minimum, not all, like the other sister said, not all, but the way black mothers and black aunties, the black family, the black community has raised the black male child, is the fact that they feel like they can get away with doing the bare minimum. As much as this is a thing, And I'll say it's also a thing, as most of people usually say, oh yeah, Nigerian men take care of their women. There are a lot of Nigerian men that weaponize incompetent that cannot take care of the women. The women are the ones taking care of them, and but the women are covering it up, saying that it's the men that takes care of them. Is a thing too. So I kind of see why the men are being babied in the family, in the black community, why the women are being told to tough it up and get it out there. And I understand why that could even be a thing that could also linger on to how they perceive school and the amount of work that is being put into work. For a black woman, we've been told, pick up your shoes, get it done. You don't have an excuse, but for black men they are allowed to have excuses and why they don't. So for me, this conversation is very, very interesting. And the sister that was talking about how the rate too is also declining when it comes to white men too. So it's almost like the entire rate of going to college is declining and women own is inclining. And I feel like this is also a thing why it seems like the rate of why women going to college is high, especially black women, is the fact that now women, we are claiming our power. We now know the power we have, and some of us are like, you know what, we are being self-independent and trying to live life for ourselves. And we know one way where we can stand a chance in life is to go get education. So I feel like that's also another thing that is making the rate of black women going to college, educating themselves way higher, because now we've seen the women in our society how they are being treated, and some of us are like, you know what, we're not going to be treated that way, so we need to go to school. If it means we have to get a first degree, second degree, we'll get it so that we can climb on that ladder. And whether we want to admit it or not, being educated is a classic thing, and it kind of give you an edge in anything you want to do, unlike when you're not educated. See, hear me out on that one. And it's a thing in my society. That's why I'm saying it. A lot of time people usually say education doesn't take you, education does not mean success. 100% I agree with that. And a lot of black men also capitalize on that. And some black men usually hold on to that and say that is one of the reasons why they don't go to college, because they've seen people go to college and yet didn't make anything out of it. I 100% agree to that. But one thing I've come to realize, especially in my society in Nigeria, is the fact that getting what's it called? Getting an education gives you a step closer to the door, unlike when you're not educated. Even when it comes to music, even when it comes to construction in Nigeria, you have to have some form of education. Get the bare minimum, a BSc, a bachelor degree, but it also gives you an edge out there. So I feel like it's a tough time for this conversation. It's a tough conversation, but I feel like black men just need to step it up. But the truth is that who are we to tell them what to do? They will still do what they have to do. But I personally, I feel like any form of education is fine. Like success comes from you alone. When you see yourself on that place, on the journey you want to go to, you have a vision of where you want to go to. And if that vision also aligned that you get some type of education, you will get it either way because you have a vision. So I feel like another thing that is also affecting the black men and the entire black community is lack of vision, lack of where they are going to, the direction they want to go to. Because if the direction and what you see yourself in the future is calls for you to go get a degree, you'll put in the work and do it because you know that is where you want to go, that's the route you want to go. But also the glorification of rap, sports, and all that in the black community, I feel like that also affected that part of it. But anyway, guys, I really want to know you guys' take on this conversation. I know I really can't speak much on that, but I'm just giving my 2 cents. I'm not in the US. I've never been in the US. So I'm just talking about some of the things I have noticed, things I've seen on media, social media, and entirely in the entire conversation, and also what is happening in my own society that has made me to come to my own opinion on this. I'm not a professional on this. I'm just giving my own opinion on this. So let me know what you think down in the comment section. Share this video with somebody that you want to be part of the conversation, because that's what we do here. We have banging conversation. So go on and share this video. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, smash the like button, because this helps YouTube to push up my content for more people to see, and that'll be you supporting this channel and this guy. So go on and do that. Subscribe if you haven't subscribed, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Deuces.